Good afternoon, everyone. Because we wanted to make sure that we got you home safely, Mr. Van Winkle and I are putting together a screencast of our staff meeting so that you can watch it from the comfort and safety of your own homes.
So as Tanya said, we thought it'd be best to get everybody home on Wednesday after school, which is, I think, a good thing, but I was really looking forward to some of the interaction that I wanted to have with you over some things that I had to present and share with you. So I'll try to move quickly through what information I had. So I'll keep this to 15 minutes, and then if I can get another 10 to 15 with you sometime as in teaching groups, that'll be awesome. First thing I wanted to show you is I will put some copies of the character nominations in your box again. So you'll be able to see which students have been nominated this school year and which haven't been nominated yet. And certainly we'll leave that up to the grade levels to do with, as they think best. I wanted to show you some updated information on how we're doing with in the area of aggressive behavior. And as you can see, I've got a comparison chart. I hope you can see. This is I don't know if this is going to work or not, but you're supposed to be seeing right now a comparison last school year to this school year on aggressive behavior log entries. And so you can see that the darker line is the 2012-13 school year. The lighter line is the 2013-14 school year. So you can see the number of log entries that were labeled aggressive behavior, and you can see that they're down significantly, and even more than significantly, drastically. I'm not sure all the reasons for this. We talked about kids growing up some, and a new grade coming in, and another grade moving on to the high school. We talked about having a year under our belt, and maybe we're making an impact on the kids, and I think we are. But the results or the information is almost too good. So I'm not sure of all the reasons why it's happening, but the good news is that it's happening. So this is a graph that just shows you the average number of aggressive behavior log entries per week for a month. And so some months obviously have had 16 days in them, school days. Others have had 23. So that's why I averaged them per week to give us an idea of, maybe give us a better idea of how often it's really happening. So this is good news. I don't think we're doing anything differently when it comes to reporting. And so I'm not sure of all the reasons. This is one of those things that I'd really like some interaction with you over. But one of the things that we want everyone to continue to do for sure is to be diligent in filling out the aggressive behavior report forms when an incident occurs, and getting that to either Chris or I, and allowing us to look into it. So thought you might want to see this. Next, I'd like to show you the results from that attitudes and beliefs surveys that you had the students do back in November and December. I've tabulated that, and you can see it on the screen again, I hope. As you look at it, you can see that the columns, in the first column I have the total numbers for the entire middle school. And then I have a column for 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade where we have their answers and their percentages separated out. So in the first box, number 1, I believe that no student ever deserves to be bullied. You can see the school-wide responses here in the black. 199 out of 222 responses agreed with that statement for an 89.6%. You can just read across here. You can see what how the 6th graders responded, 7th grade and 8th grade. And then I have over here I have in red what the response was in 2012. So in this case, in 2012, 89% answered yes to this question. So this year we saw an increase of 0.6%. So 0.6% more of our student body believe that no student ever deserves to be bullied. So and right on down you can see the same information. Number 2, if I saw a target being picked on, I would try to help in some way. 209 out of 223 students answered yes. That's 93.7%, and that was up from 88% the year before, so that's a positive increase of 5.7%. Then you have a section that deals with the ways that students are most comfortable in helping someone who's being targeted. And then you can just read right on down. It's interesting that in every single question there was a positive increase. So I'm thinking that this certainly coincides with our reduced number of log entries, the change in attitudes, but also I think it might even be more significant that there's some indication that attitudes are changing toward aggressive behavior toward each other. There's one that remained the same. Number 9 was 99%, and it remained 99% this year. So take a look at that. Again, I wish we had time to interact over these. I think that would be helpful for me and for everybody to talk about it, but it just didn't work out, at least this month. Part B of the survey was the question that asked, how many staff members do you feel that you have a positive connection with? And as you can see, just like in years before, our numbers were good. School-wide, there were 8 that said they had 0, close staff connections, staff that they could go to if they had a small problem. But it's good. It's at 3.6% of the student body, and from what we hear, your goal should be under 5%, and that number is down from 6.8% the previous year, so that's good. When I get together with the teaching teams, I will show you the names of students that we have that said they didn't have any close connections with staff, and we can address that. One of the things that I'd like to recommend or suggest is maybe the idea of some silent mentoring. One of the SEL lessons that I gave you in the last batch of lessons that I put in your mailbox was one about having the students look at these survey results. And again, this is picking up on the idea of positive norming, making sure our student body understand that the vast majority of students do not think aggressive and mean behavior is okay. Sometimes students can kind of get in the rut and thinking, well, everybody's doing it, or it happens all the time, it's not that big a deal, and I'm in the minority if I think it's wrong. Well, it's not the case among students at our school, to be sure, and oftentimes it's just a matter of keeping that information in front of the student body that can make an impact. And so one of my SEL lessons has to do with, it's called "And the Survey Says," and I would just encourage you to maybe give the survey results out to students and let them look at it, let them see how they answered the survey, and just the overwhelming evidence that we want our school to be a safe school, and that we don't want mean and aggressive behavior occurring here. I would encourage you to break your students up into groups, small groups, and maybe ask them to come up with, by way of application, one striking fact from the survey, and then give them the responsibility of making a poster on that. Maybe a white piece of board, cardboard or something with a black marker, and just put the statement that grabs them the most. Like, over 93% of 6th graders believe that no student ever deserves to be bullied. Or another group might be struck by the fact that 99% of all Springport students, middle school students, don't want name calling based on someone's ability. What I thought we could do is I thought I could take a video of the groups holding their card or their poster, and I could put that to some background music, and we could show it at one of our assemblies. So I'd really like for you to try to do that if you can work it in. Let me say this again about the SEL lessons. I know it's been crazy since after Christmas with snow days and me interrupting your SELs and Winterfest and so forth. So I'm assuming that everyone's behind is normal, and that's not a problem, but this is certainly a lesson that I'd like us to capitalize on and do some positive norming if we can. These results are awesome. The final thing I want to show you is just a website, and there are a lot of them out there, but a website on silent mentoring. This happens to be one by Chick Moorman, and I think if you want to go to it, you could just Google that. Chick is, well, here's his name up here. He's got a lot on this idea of silent mentoring. I think most of you are familiar with it. Basically, how we would use this can be used for any kind of student, anybody that you feel you'd like to come alongside and mentor in some small way. Silent mentoring is informal mentoring. It's where you don't have an agreement that it's going to happen. The student probably doesn't even know that that's your intent. And so here's an article that you can read. I won't take time to read it to you, but it's just doing little things to try to connect with the student, to try to get them to respond to your friendliness. And this is short. It's really worth reading. Gives some ideas on on how to engage the student. Sending I notice statements is one of his ideas. Touching with your eyes, eye contact is another. Engaging in proximity behavior, smiling, using their names, just going out of your way, being intentional to talk to a student. Maybe someone in your class, may not be. Doesn't have to be those few that indicated that they don't have any connections either with staff here at the school. If you see a student who seems to be a loner or not to have many friends or not, who's not always easy to relate to, you might want to just identify them yourself and use some of these techniques. So again, I'll talk to you more about it, but this is a good site if you want some ideas, and we'll especially want to try to engage those that indicated that they don't always feel connected. And again, I wish we could talk about these things because given some of the names that said they didn't have any connections, I was surprised. I was surprised at those that said they did, and more surprised maybe by some of the ones that said they don't. But tomorrow, especially with 8th graders, tomorrow could be a whole different story, so you're never quite sure. But I'm sorry if this is kind of a mishmash and comes to you in machine gun style, but I didn't know how else to get the information to you, and Tanya suggested this. I hope you can listen to it and hope it won't be too painful for you. As I said, sometime maybe next week I'll take 10 or 15 minutes of your prep and we can wrap it up. Thanks for your attention.